Madam President, I move that the report of the Committee of the Whole be adopted and the bill be properly assigned.
Thank you, members. All those in favor? I'm sorry, Senator Boyer.
Thank you, Madam President. I move that the portion of the Committee of the Whole report that Senate Bill 1688 do pass be amended to include the Carter number 1 floor amendment, and I request a roll call vote.
Thank you, Senator Boyer. I'm advised that because they were not voted on in committee, that a roll call vote is not in order. Senator Carter.
Madam Chair,
Certainly. Go ahead.
would you restate what you just said, because we didn't vote on them in committee? Please read the rule.
Thank you. It is under Rule number 17, item J. A motion to amend the Committee of the Whole report shall not be in order unless the proposed amendment to the report has been voted on in the Committee of the Whole.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Then I make a substitute motion. I make a
Proceed.
substitute motion to not adopt the Committee of Whole report. And I would like a roll call vote on that. Second.
We have a substitute motion and a second from Senator Boyer. Thank you. And we have called a roll call vote. System is now open. Senate will now proceed to vote. Senator Carter.
Thank you, Madam President. I rise to explain my vote, to explain what we're doing here.
Sure.
Perfect. Thank you. Members, since a motion was made during the Committee of the Whole to not allow a conversation about the amendments, I will choose to spend my time focusing on one amendment in particular and not address the other three. So members, if you're following along on your computer, or those of you following along at home, I will use my time to discuss the Carter Floor Amendment number
Excuse
1.
me. Point of order. According to the rules, you have to stick to the motion of what is on the board, which is motion to not adopt Cal number 8 report.
Thank you, Madam.
You're explaining your vote as to whether you're going to do this, not explaining your amendments.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I am explaining my vote as to what was not included, which is why I did this. So I am voting to not adopt the Cal report because the amendment related to the firefighter cancer situation we have in Arizona was not adopted. So because we did not adopt the amendment that would provide money to ensure that our firefighters have workman compensation benefits during the COVID-19 crisis, and it was not adopted in the Committee of the Whole, I do not believe we should adopt the Committee of the Whole report, because if we had adopted the amendment in the Committee of the Whole, our firefighters would have had the opportunity to create a risk pool for insurance for their workman compensation benefits. If we had adopted the amendment in the original Committee of the Whole report, or the original Committee of the Whole, we would have been able to give money to our cities, our towns, and our fire districts that are self-insured to make sure that they have money.
Excuse me, point of order. Mr. Eddie Farnsworth.
Madam President, Senator Carter is going way beyond discussing the motion before us, and she is talking, although cleverly, but she is certainly talking about the underlying amendment. And so I would ask that she stick to simply talking about the motion beforehand, which is to the substitute motion not adopt the Cal calendar.
Thank you. Senator Carter, could you wind this up, please?
So let's talk about what we're doing by not adopting the Committee of the Whole report. Members,
Senator.
right? I'm talking to my.
Okay, but if you go back to what you're explaining before, you are out of order.
Thank you, Madam President. If you would let me finish, I think
Okay.
you
Go
will
ahead.
hear what I'm trying to explain.
Okay.
Thank you. Members, so what we are voting on here is a motion to not adopt the Committee of the Whole report number 8 because it lacks a critical amendment on the bill that is in this Committee of the Whole report. If we go on ahead and fail this motion, that means we will leave the firefighters without the resources that
Senator
they need.
Senator Farnsworth, point of order.
Madam President, again, cleverly attempted, but she talked about the current motion and then she went right back into the policy. This is not a policy motion, this is a procedural motion, and it needs to remain the discussion on the procedure and not the policy. So I would ask you to please rule, and I would ask that the senator please refrain from talking about the policy.
Thank you. Senator
Madam-
Carter, I
Madam
do rule
President,
that you
may I ask
are.
you a question?
I rule you out of order. How do you vote?
Madam President, may I ask you a question?
Depends on what the question is.
Well, how will I know if
Go
I can ask
ahead.
it if you don't allow me to ask it?
Go ahead.
So, Madam President, are you and my good colleague from Legislative District 12 going to call me out of order every time I say the word firefighter?
We are talking, the debate here, or the question on the board is whether to not adopt the Cal number 8 report. That is what the question is. Quite honestly, I have given you quite a bit of leeway on this because I know that this is dear to your heart. But everybody, I think everybody understands where you're going with this, so it's time to call this to a halt now, and please tell us how you vote.
So thank you, Madam President. Because I hear what you are saying, and I saw what happened last year with microphones being turned off, therefore, I vote aye.
Thank you, ma'am. Appreciate that. Senator Gray,
Thank you, Madam President. I rise to explain my vote.
proceed.
The bill that we're looking at in this committee, this cow, was one that had been agreed upon previously over days of work, and because of that, the consensus on that bill, which is what this cow was about and what this bill is about, I vote no.
Thank you.
Thank you, Madam President. I rise to explain my vote.
Proceed.
Thank you. Members, in explaining my vote, I will be voting no, and here's why. And guess what? I get to use the word firefighter. So here we go. Let's talk about what's missing in this bill and why I'm voting no.